Hey, I have a question. Do you know when Japan is opening its borders to tourists?
Of course, I have all the answers. Here, I will write it down on this piece of paper. But before I answer, do you think people will think this is a real conversation?
This conversation is absolutely seamless SSSS. Ha 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 ha.
Alright, so just like that totally real conversation I just had with one of my best friends, I also have totally real facts about when Japan is going to open its borders to tourists. Now, that month is going to be your favorite month of the year this year. And that month is June. Now, the Japanese Prime Minister was recently on a trip to the UK, and in the UK he said that Japan is going to start relaxing its border control policies and procedures, and it's going to start bringing tourists just like you to Japan in June. So there will be limited number, we don't exactly know. So there might be a few restrictions, but we don't know what they're going to be. So what I thought I'd do today is make a quick video about those of you who are still worried about traveling during a pandemic, but you still want to come to a country that you've either been to before and you absolutely love, or you want to come here for the first time. I want to say that the tips that I'm going to share with you today are more personal experience than the ones that are from other YouTubers that go, you need to do this and you have to go here and you have to go there and there's a certain way you have to do things. Now, if you decide to follow any of these tips and tricks, then that's great. I'm sure you'll have a great time in Japan. So like I said, these are all personal opinions, but let's just get straight into it.
That's a good question.
Now, do you want to go to the beach, the snow, see the sakura or the cherry blossoms? It's up to you. Now, again, this is personal experience talking from now, but if you love dripping in sweat and waking up dripping in sweat, then summer is the season for you. It's got a lot of beaches in Japan, but going to the beach in Japan probably isn't the most authentic thing you can do. So there are other things you can do in summer, like hiking, see the different flower fields, go camping, eat kakigori. However, spring is one of the most famous seasons in Japan with the cherry blossoms and the like, and if you don't mind the crowd, you may experience hanami or cherry blossom viewing in all its glory. It only lasts about a week a year, and it's meant to be one of the most romantic times in the year for honeymooners in Japan. Do you think that guy's taking a photo of me or the flowers? Now, autumn, it's another magical and highly popular time of the year with brilliant autumn colours and crisp, pleasant temperatures. Can't even talk. Now, winter is the complete opposite of summer and offers amazing seafood, incredibly hot springs, not to mention some of the best powder snow in the world for skiing and snowboarding.
That's another good question.
Tokyo, around 30 million people. Osaka has about 3 million, Nagoya about 2.5 million, Sapporo 2 million people. Now these cities are some of the most visited cities in Japan for tourists, and as I mentioned to you, if you're worried about traveling during the pandemic, but you don't want to be there sitting on the train stacked like a sardine with 50 million other people, then what you want to be doing is going to some of these smaller, less known areas of Japan. Just because they're lesser known or less popular doesn't mean you're not going to have an amazing time, just as you would if you were in Tokyo. Now, here are a few small cities that are way smaller that I think you'll have heaps of things to do in still. Matsuyama, population 500,000. Tottori, 200,000. Or Aomori, about 300,000. Okay, so let's talk about Tohoku. It's located around northern Japan, just south of Hokkaido, and the Tohoku region is by far one of the most popular, yet lesser visited areas of Japan. Now, thanks to its relatively out-of-the-way location, most travelers end up missing it. This is unfortunate for them, but it's good news for you because now you know about it. Okay, so Tohoku is a couple of hours north up on the Shinkansen, and it's a large district including many prefectures like Akita, Aomori, Fukushima, Iwate, Miyagi, Yamagata, and there's no single best way to experience or explore it all. So I suggest you go onto Google Maps and type in what to do in Nani Prefecture or Nani City and see what tickles your interest and head out there and do day trips from the main city while renting a car maybe. Side note, Iwate has some of the best food in Japan like wanko soba, gyutang, which is cow tongue, and let's talk about the opposite side of Japan. Now, the south side of Japan, known as Shikoku, consisting of Ehime, Kochi, Tokushima, and Kagawa prefectures, it's a few hours south of Tokyo on the Shinkansen rather than north. It's famous for Matsuyama Castle, Kochi Castle, Marugame Castle, and many more castles. But it also has food tours, it has wineries, it has breweries, and it has some of the best udon in Japan. Trust me, it's definitely worth going and doing a course.
You are full of good questions.
Alright, business hotels, Airbnb, hostels, love hotels, ryokans, capsule hotels, internet cafes, couch surfing. There's so many places you can stay. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them because it'll take me a couple of hours, but I will go through the main couple. So many people think that staying at a hostel would be the cheapest option. However, you can find business hotels for around the same price. Sometimes you can find them for even a little bit less, which means you're going to get your own room and your own bathroom, so you don't need to share it with anybody. Most business hotels come with free Wi-Fi and soaps and all the shampoos and washcloths and all that kind of thing. It has clothes washing machines, vending machines with everything you can imagine. And business hotels, they're mostly the run-of-the-mill, and often you get English-speaking staff to help you, which is going to be really, really helpful. If you book a regular room in one of these hotels, chances are it's usually going to be a room with a bed, with a shower, and that's about it. They're very functional, they don't give you very much room to move around or do anything in. Now, love hotels. These are designed for people who want a little bit more privacy. Now, they are a lot cleaner than you think. You can pay per hour or per night. And I think around the same price as a business hotel, and I would highly suggest that you go and stay in one of them because they are an experience. And they're not as sleazy as creepy as people say or think that they are. So I'm happy to cover more about hotels in another video, just let me know down below.
I bet you have the answer.
Now the JR Pass, it's one of the most controversial topics in all of Japanese transport history. So many YouTubers tell you when you come to Japan, you have to buy one of these. You have to buy one. It's the most cheapest thing you can buy if you get 7 days or 14 days. Or there are other YouTubers out there that go, you definitely don't need one. Don't buy one. They're a waste of money. At the end of the day, it's up to you. It really depends on where you're traveling to. If you're traveling to just one major city and staying there for a week or so and just doing day trips in and out of the city, you probably don't need one. But if you're going to go to multiple places throughout your trip, it might be a good idea. Now, you can get a 7-day pass starting at around $300. You can also get a 14-day and a 21-day version. And if you're staying in Tokyo as well, you can get a 24, 48 or 72-hour subway pass. The only issue is if you're staying in Tokyo, the metro line and the subway line or something, they're completely different. So one pass won't work with one train station and one won't work with another, and you got to get different passes and different tickets, and it can get really complicated. There's also the bus and metro train tickets, which start at about $15 a day, which allow you to travel unlimited for a whole day. You can also rent cars, electric bikes, regular bicycles, and the easiest one that I like is the Shoelace Express.
This is such a great video. Sushi,
one of the most famous food dishes in all of Japan. You will mostly find sushi in every konbini, every restaurant, every supermarket. It's just a staple of Japanese cuisine, and it's absolutely delicious. But if you don't like raw fish, then why not try something like tempura? It's fish and vegetables, it's just completely deep fried. There's also udon, ramen, soba. It's, again, the most famous noodles in all of Japan. I suggest you come and try and see which one you like. And if you are coming in summer, which I don't suggest, but if you do, try somen. And when you try somen, don't forget to slurp. But if you don't like fish, there's also yakiniku, yakitori, and some of the best yakiniku places are the hole-in-the-wall bars filled with cigarette smoke. So if you see one of those places while you're walking down the street, it's definitely time to stop and eat something from there, because that'll be the best eating experience you'll have in Japan.
I love Japan.
So Omiage in Japan is the equivalent of buying a souvenir. Now these are specially designed shops that only sell omiyage, so usually from the local area, like snacks or biscuits or drinks, and people buy them when they go on holidays and bring them back for their workmates usually. So next week I'm actually going to Disneyland in Tokyo, so I'll probably need to fill my backpack full of stuff from Tokyo, most likely Tokyo banana for everyone. Probably also end up buying some for me too, because it's one of the best snacks you can buy in Japan.
Don't wear Doc Martens.
Now, in Japan, when you go into a restaurant, most of the time you'll need to take off your shoes and place them into a little cubby hole thingy in the wall, and you'll change into some indoor restaurant shoes. Now, sometimes when you're in the restaurant, you'll need to take off your indoor restaurant shoes when you go to the toilet and put on your indoor toilet restaurant shoes. Now, it can get really complicated because you're always taking your shoes on and off, and now the easiest way to avoid the frustration is to wear something that's shoelaceless or something that you can slip on and off constantly throughout the day, because it's going to do your head in otherwise.
Google apps are the best.
Google Maps, Hyperdia, and Google Translate. All of these are not the most amazing apps in the world, but they're probably some of the most helpful if you can't understand or speak Japanese. They'll give you pretty good directions as well on where to go, how to get there, how much it's going to cost to get there, what platform to go to, how long it's going to take to get there. Also, Google Translate, there's a little conversation button that you can press so you can speak English and then they can speak Japanese, and it will translate both languages so you can actually have a conversation rather than being completely confused.
Do your best.
Finally, tip number 10, respect. In Japan, most people know that learning Japanese is actually not easy for foreigners, especially those who they can see are clearly tourists and they might only be visiting Japan for a short time. This, however, does not mean that you shouldn't make the effort as well. Now, the smallest bit of effort learning some basic Japanese greetings is going to go a long, long way in Japan. So just keep in mind that you being frightened to speak Japanese is the same as a Japanese person being frightened to speak English. And when you hear a Japanese person speak broken English, then certainly you'll be pretty impressed. I know I always am. And don't forget, that goes both ways. So always try and make a little bit of an effort when you meet Japanese people.
いずれてっぺん越えれる。はるかお願い。ほんまにふざけてるみたいになるから。はるかお願い。行くで。俺真面目でやってるから。いずれてっぺん越えれる。ちょっと待って。どうするこれ。ごめんごめん。
Now, there's about 50 other things I could talk about, but I wanted to make this video as quick and as easy and as fast as possible. So if there's anything that I've missed out on that you guys want me to cover, please leave a like, leave a comment so I know exactly what to cover in the next video, and peace.